Okay, so in the last video we were working on the employee phone list report, and when we finished up it looked about like this. And one thing I wanted to do before we moved on is clean up this line right here, because I don't like that. So we're going to go into our design view, and you'll notice if I click right here, there's still a text box in there. And actually if I shift and click on this one, there's still one there too. So I'm going to hit delete on those. And then when we go back to our report view, it should be gone. Okay, there we go. So see, it was leaving this line out long here because I had actually a field still in there. So that's just a little cleaner and better looking. Okay, so we can close out of that now. And now we're going to create a report based on our Northwest Region employees query. Before we create that report, I'm going to change a few more of our employees to the Northwest Region offices, just so that you can see it better when we create the report. So we're going to go into our forms, and I'm just going to go through some of these, and I'm going to change them to Seattle and Portland. That one's already Portland. Let's make Stu Portland. He's already Seattle. We'll change one more to Seattle. Okay, that's good enough. We can close out of that now. And those records will be updated in our employees table. So now we're going to create a report based on this employees of the Northwest Region. And you remember how before we clicked on this and we went to create, and then we just created a report, and it just instantly created a report, right? We're going to do it a little bit differently this time. This time we're going to do it using the report wizard. And when you're using the report wizard, it doesn't matter what you have selected over here. We could have this selected for that matter, because when we use the wizard, it's going to walk us through it from scratch. And I'll show you right now. So we click on that, and it brings up this wizard. And the first thing it allows you is to select from the queries or tables in your database. And in this case, we're using the query employees of the Northwest Region. So we'll go ahead and click on that. And then it gives us a choice of the fields that we want to include in this particular report. So if we wanted to just have first name, last name, and city, we could do that. Or if we wanted just first name, last name, and phone number, we could do that as well. In this case, we want all of these fields, so we can just click the double arrow to bring them all over. And then we'll click next. And then this is one thing that I really like. So this allows us to essentially organize our data, right? And you can see the way it's separated here. It has the first name, last name, and phone number all grouped by city. And you'll notice if we go down to our employees, then it just puts everything on the same line. Okay, but by doing it this way, we can kind of separate out the data. So it's going to say Seattle, and then it's going to have all of our employees in Seattle, and then it'll have another heading that says Portland, and so on. And that's just a little bit more appealing in the report. So we'll click next. And then you can actually add more grouping. So none of these are relevant, but if we wanted to break it down by, say, last name, then we could add that as a group and see it just creates another tier. But in this case, that doesn't really make sense, so we're not going to do that. So we'll get rid of that. So we're just going to group it by city. Then we click next. And then of course we can sort, and we're going to sort by last name because that's just the most logical in ascending alphabetical order. Click next. And then this gives you options for the layout. Remember last time when we created that from our employee phone list, it just gave us a standard layout. Here we get some choices. So you can do a stepped layout. So this would have your city and then your employees' name and phone numbers. Or you can do it block. And this is basically going to have the city here, and then straight across from it, it will start to list your employees. Or you could do an outline, which is just kind of even more stepped than stepped. So we're going to go with block because it's going to be a little cleaner for this particular layout. And then we'll leave that checked so it'll adjust the field width so all the fields fit on the page. And then we'll click next. Oh, and by the way, let me go back. You can also choose between portrait and landscape, which you can change later, so that's not a big deal. Next. And then we name it. And we're just going to call this report employees of the Northwest region. And then we're just going to go ahead and preview this report. So we click finish. And so there it is. You can see it's first organized by city. So all the Portland people are listed first. All the Seattle people are listed second. And obviously we need to do some formatting here. Shrink up these fields to get them to fit. So we'll go ahead and close out of the print preview. And we'll go to the layout view. So these are all selected, and you can shift and click on the header too, and then just grab the whole thing and drag it. And then we can select these same way, shift and click on the header, and move the whole thing over by left arrowing. And then we'll shrink that one down too. And same here, click and then shift click to click the whole column. So all of our records. And same thing, arrow over and shrink those up. And then last but not least, our phone numbers. Click and click, and then press shift and click, and we'll arrow that over as well. I'm just holding down the arrow key. And then this one we need to expand. Well, not that much. Okay, we can go into these and we will fix those so they look better. First name, last name. Okay, and we can go in here as well and we'll clean this up. And let's go to report view and take a look at it. So there we go. That's a little better. We could organize this by first name then last name if we wanted to, by just going into our design view, and we basically just click the last name and then shift and click the other last name, and then we grab it, pull it over here, and then we do the same thing with this one. Click on it, shift and click, and then for this one I'll just arrow it over to move it. And then I can re-click on this one again, and same thing. Oh, and actually I need to shrink this one up to get it out of the way. So we do that and drag it over, and we can slide this guy over. And we'll shrink it up a little too, and then we'll bring our phone number in. And let's take a look. So there, now we have the first name on the left, last name on the right, and you'll notice it is still alphabetized by last name. So we'll close out of this, and yes, we want to save it. And one thing I want to mention for you when you look at this later is I went into our employees table. This is a total side note, by the way, and I noticed we had 2 Julie Swans. And so I deleted one of them. So you can see actually our employee IDs go 14, 15, 16, 17, and then skips 18, goes to 19. That's because I deleted a record out of here. I just wanted to mention that so if you see it later in the course, it doesn't give you any confusion. Okay, so that's our employees by the Northwest region report. Let me just show you one more thing about how to use the wizard to pull things from various places. Let's say that we wanted to do a report that had the employees by their city offices. We could go to create and use the wizard again. And first we're going to draw from our employees table, and we're going to get our first name, last name, and phone number. And then we're going to go to our offices table. We're going to get our city. So we're pulling from 2 different tables for this report, whereas before we were just using a query. So this is just a little bit different way to do it. And we'll click next, and we can just say, you know, first name, last name, phone, and then their city, or again, which I kind of like to do, we can sort it by city just to make it a little cleaner and easier to follow. Don't need to add any grouping. In this case, we'll sort it by last name because that makes sense. And we could sort it secondarily by first name. So if it's going to first sort by their last names. If we had any of the same last names, then it would sort by the first name next. But we don't, so it doesn't matter. But click next. And we'll go with block. Click next. And this one will be called report employees by city. We'll preview it right there. And again, we're a little off the screen, but you can see what it's done here. It's created our city and then a block of last names, first names, and phone numbers that are in that city. So we have our whole Los Angeles section, we have all of our Seattle employees, we have all of our Portland employees all together, and they're all alphabetized by last name. So that's pretty cool. And then of course we would just go in here to either our layout view or our design view. We did layout view last time, so let's go to our design view to clean this up. And we just do click and shift click to adjust our city. Same thing with the last name, and we can just arrow it over, not too far. Scrunch it down a little bit too. Same thing with our first name, arrow it over. You can grab these and drag them too, but arrowing is kind of nice because it keeps it on the same line. And finally our phone number. One more. And that one needs to be a little bigger. Okay, and then we'll go in and adjust our names. We can adjust these headers if we wanted to. You know, we could click and shift, select all of them, or again, we can click out here and drag across to select them all. We could go to our format and we could change these to bold. We could make them a little bigger if we wanted. You know, whatever you want to do with your formatting, you can do. Even make this header a little bigger if we wanted. Maybe not that big. And then we'll go, of course, up to here and fix this too. Anyway, we'll go back to our report view. So there we are with our finished employees by city report. And now we have an employee phone list. We have a list of employees by city, all sorted. And then we have just a specific report for our employees from the Northwest region.